What is a kino? A kino is something that is going to need treatment in the hospital after it encounters Beastie on the ladder. Okay, that's a good enough intro. Let's hop in to the first series of the day. We got an interesting one. Psyduck on the left in the yellow. That is actually Beastie Cutie. And on the right, playing in the blue, as the Mongol is going to be a blues guy himself. It's Kino. Kino Blues, who I believe is ranked around 300 on the ladder right now. Meanwhile, you know, very fair balanced game because when you look on the other side, we've got Beastie who's ranked first and second on the ladder right now. Very fair game. Very, very efficient, effective, beautiful matchmaking system we've got here in the World of Age of Empires 4. Not like everyone just can't be asked to play because they're either being Q-dodged or they're zizzing out, but maybe, hopefully, they'll be back after Christmas. Well, I was flagged this one on Reddit. Now, I glimpsed one or two of the details. There's some very interesting twists and turns to this one. I don't know the full picture. I don't really watch the games before I cast them. I found it's more engaging that way, not knowing, kind of reacting on the fly and then theory crafting as we go. But Beastie does something different here. In this game anyway, once we move past the opening. And the opening should be kind of standardized for the Mongol player, right? You can already see the rack's going to be dropped, so Kino is going to be looking to get aggressive with the early spears. Love the fact they're using the go. I love the way that these type of things trickle down through the ranks very quickly. I mean, say through the ranks, this guy is 300th in the world, which is still incredibly impressive. It's not far off of the top 100, realistically, in terms of the strategies that you encounter. But what he's doing is he's moving this go around and unpacking it so that he can grab sheep. And this is an efficient way to allow you to then take your Khan aggressively to your opponent's side of the map. Give me 1 second, because I just realized my observing map keys were not on. Now we're good to go. So this means that by using the go in the close by area, you'll grab 1 or 2 sheep, but then you can just beeline across the map and try to take more away from your opponent. Beastie, well, he has gone very confined in the way that he's scattered out. I love this choice by him as well. He should, in theory, get a decent amount of sheep, but the more important detail isn't just the sheep, it's the fact that Beastie wants to scan the layout of his base. He's aware he's up against the Mongol player. He knows there's this threat that there's going to be an outpost rush coming, so he always needs to check the right and left side to see what kind of breach points his opponent has. As we can see, Beastie should notice that Kino has multiple ways into this backside to try and penetrate that gold line. And unfortunately for Beastie, the other thing that he found out by scouting this, sometimes you just wish you could stick your head in the dirt like a flamingo, is it an ostrich? It's an ostrich. I'm an idiot. Is the second gold vein that is in the same area, which means that one outpost here will block him off gold indefinitely. We'll just have to see how he wants to react to that. We've seen a few different builds in the past. You know, we used to see French players building scouts a lot. Then things pivoted away from that into maybe an archer, into a ram. Usually you only go for a ram if your opponent builds multiple outposts. But if this outpost is placed between the 2 gold veins and near the stone as well, it might be high enough value that it justifies Beastie going for the ram play. But for the moment, he's going to be going for the tech up. Kino Blues on the other side, of course, is going to be slower in that tech up. You always are when you invest 150 wood into a Rax, 150 wood into a Nuvu, and then decide to invest food and wood into spears as well. So far, he's only gone up to 4 here. This would be a respectable point to stop, right? Because you've got the Khan on the front side. Although, realistically, if you want to have full garrison power, you're going to want an additional spear because the Khan does need to go back home at some point. He's carrying a lofty 750 food with him. I'm going to give that over. You don't want to miss out on it yourself. Nice deny there. Comes in just in time. Looks like the burn didn't go through. I don't think the Khan actually did hit the mining camp, so good reactions by Beastie. Doesn't quite get the gold he's looking for if he wants to pump out the initial knight, but did get enough for the wheelbarrow. And that's why he goes back in. Love this play. Will break off. Oh, he doesn't get what he wants, though. Good reaction out of Blues. Love the fact that he keeps the pressure up. Doesn't give him a second on that gold vein for free. Means that Beastie, if he really wants this first knight, he's going to have to cycle different villages out there. Might be that he just chills for the moment, though, instead goes on the wood line. And looks like that outpost is not going to block the eastern side gold vein, but it doesn't need to. This is actually a better value outpost because now he can't go for the TC play, he can't go for the knights, and you're not going to run villages all the way out here to mine gold. You know, even if you have wheelbarrow, it's an incredibly dangerous way to play the map as the French player up against the Mongol outpost rush. And, you know, if you had that first knight, very different situation. If he had the first knight, I do think that there's a world in which Beastie feels he can go for this play because he'll be aggroing on the other side. Instead, though, he has to go for the discount knight. The naked knight. The guy who just got out of the shower. His Holiness the Horseman. We'll see what he can do with this. There is some potential raiding that can occur here, right? You got to consider the gold vein really far away. Mongol players usually end up sacrificing one resource away from their TC unless they're very lucky. And the other detail to keep in mind, the reason why Beastie is doing this is he's potentially going to be up against the trade. Like, Mongol players all the time right now going for trade, and this will work out perfectly. Just park yourself between that and the neutral trade post, and good luck, Blues. Also, this is the interesting detail. Look at what's happening here. Not only is Beastie snuck out onto the gold vein, but he is starting to stockpile the scouts. Now, we have seen this utilized before to get rid of the outpost. But it's an expensive thing to do just for that. But you know what? Now you can do whatever you want. It's scouting vision advantage at this point. Khan has been removed. Blues, that was a very big misstep. Losing the Khan at this stage, losing 750 food, detrimental to your scaling. He has got deer nearby, but he's lacking sheep long-term, so we might have to see a pasture investment out of Blues. Something you don't really want to do too early, especially now that you want to invest all of your wood into getting that trade online. Trade that might not be for free. Scout count is still going up. Beastie now going up to 7 scouts. Also layering in the archers. Now, this is the point where if you're going to build this many scouts, you need additional value. There are a few ways you can approach this. You could get value through trying to torch down the infrastructure area of the Mongol base. You could also go for pro scouts, which doesn't really happen much anymore. But I think if there are 2 civs in the game that can justify, it's probably going to be the Malians and the French. Malians, okay, and there it is. Yeah, he goes for it. So just to explain the logic here, Malians, the reason they can justify it is their scouts are more effective. You actually can build them and justify them. And they're also able to move faster so they can get out of Danger Town after picking up carcasses faster. For the French, the detail is usually you're the tempo aggressor, so you should have map control to be able to use these scouts even when they're slow returning carcasses. Because remember, they lose about 33% of their movement speed, or 35% I think it is, when they pick up a deer carcass. But the other detail is that you get the tech free. Not free, cheaper rather. You only pay 70% as opposed to the loftier sum that everyone else is paying, which I think is 350 in total. Well, this is the first value he's going to find. Scouts are going to rush out. Love the micro back there as well. So you can see that BC wants additional value afterwards. Unfortunately, he's not going to find it that way. I think this works out better for him, the aggro switching over the archers, though. The spears can't contest against this many. Horseman is going to be stabbed down, though. It's not the worst of value for Blues, but he needs a little bit more out of this for it to feel good, right? Like, he killed, what, a scout and a horseman. 1 archer as well. So you killed... Yeah, that's not going to be enough. 270, I think it is? And instead, you lost 320 plus the... Okay, you got extra scouts. So it's kind of an even trade to an extent. But keep in mind that Beastie also went for the pro scouts. So now he has additional value off the back of this scout play. However, it will not necessarily be for free. Notice that Kino has got the first horseman out in the field. For good reason as well. It's all about patrol. Keep aggression back towards the French side of the map so that your trade can't be raided at all. But this was a really big oversight by Kino. And I really want to go back to that opening phase when he lost the Khan. I think the Khan is what caused all this to succeed for Beastie. Think about it. If the Khan is alive and he scouts out this backside, you're probably not getting this for free, right? The spearmen will run over, they'll stab you out, they'll stop you gathering on the gold, they'll stop you gathering on the stone. Instead, because Kino leveraged himself north side and then made that miss micro underneath the TC, losing the Khan, he had no secondary play. He was just parked here. He lost all additional value he would have found. And Beastie, because he went in for this TC play with a second TC on the extension base, he's not even going to idle out having to walk back. Instead, he's going to get full bang for buck in the area, and this should be where he begins to boom. I expect Beastie to likely add in more cavalry. Like, you need a fast-moving unit to gap close. You don't want to go more archers. You've seen horsemen in the field. Should just be mass knights at this stage. Yeah, he's already pumping the chivalry. He's getting prepped for it. Khan gets the bad news. But Kino, it's too late, my friend. You needed to be here about 2 minutes sooner. Maybe you could have caught him in the build-up. Maybe that would have worked as well. But unfortunately for him, no real opportunity. Now, he does feel like Beastie needs to come out. But remember, we know. We saw what happened. This is all kind of a distraction. Like, Beastie has gone on to the berries. And Kino's probably going to try to prioritize raids around here, thinking, oh, he's going to go for D extensions, going to go for boar. But what I don't think Kino still knows is there's no need for boar. Because these bad boys are in business. And if we check the vision, we can see exactly what I'm talking about. Kino, he has no way of knowing this. In fact, if Beast just sneaks the backside deer now, it'll still go unnoticed. He could easily get 3 stacks before someone gets tipped off here. The only reason he won't get more is because it... Actually, wait, what? No, he will get more. I mean, yeah, I was about to say, I was like, Kino must have taken the deer very quickly. No. No way. He actually stole the deer from right next to Kino's base. And because of the tree line, Kino probably doesn't even know. So now Beastie can just go back, take the safe deer, both next to his own base, and then try to gamble for the final one. Kino, by the way, this outpost isn't because, oh, he's stealing my deer, I need to stop him. This is because Kino wants to maximize the trade distance. It's the only reason that Beastie might not end up with 4 different stacks. That with the fact that Kino now wants the deer himself. And I think he does realize what's going on. As he scouts back, he'll probably realize, wait a second. 1, 2, no, I can't count. There's no Bambis here at all. Crafty devil. I mean, this is definitely a situation where Pro Scouts pays off, right? Because Beastie doesn't really need to play this dance with Spearman early on. He just keeps fully condensed next to his TCs. He has Scouts to kind of body block if you ever try to dive in after he's used them to gather all these deer stacks up. And he got 3 deer, so it's worth it. And now he can just mass Knights because he's got 2 TC worth. He's got deer gathering rates. He's got plenty of gold to access. I mean, this is clean. It might get quite ugly on the other side for Kino. Something we have to keep in mind is Kino's only up to 5 traders. It's not exactly what I call a scary number. Had to go for double patches already as well. Crazy, the mid-map aggression was in favor of the Mongol player, but they didn't opt to drop these patches near the Uvu for the better generation. You know, they don't want to do it now that the Knights are coming in, but earlier on they could have got away with it to get additional sheep out here. That being said, Kino, they moved fully to the deer stack, and that's problematic. Look what's happening here. There is a move coming in from Beastie. Now Kino does have Spearman in position, but he's not reacting fast enough. The spears aren't going to be able to gap close this. Remember, there is no Yam for foot soldiers. There was a silver tree tech up. Knights are going to raid in. Oh no. He has at least got wheelbarrow, but Kino, I mean, that's 4 Knights. You can't even gap close. Maneuver arrow needs to be used now. Yeah, you just need to gap close as quickly as possible. Archers are going to move in and start poking and prodding. The idle time alone with 1 or 2 villagers going down, it is worth it here for Beastie. Now, when he sees the outpost, he'll realize, okay, you're going traders. We'll even snipe another villager on his exit. And that means that now you just chase traders, right? Okay, this is going to sound weird, but hear me out. This is a situation where Yam is actually your enemy. Because you've got Yam and your traders move quicker, it means the Knights are going to just like shift away from these spearmen even faster. But instead of doing that, oh my... The idle time. He goes for the Khan. This is a good move. Beastie, it will sacrifice a Knight for it, but now you've got limited vision in the area. The second wave is coming in. Scouts love this play. Beastie is going to clean up the outpost for the Scouts. Knights are going to drag the main force away, and while dragging it away, they're going to find more value. Oh no, the villagers! Blues has about 1/3 of his economy idle at any given time right now. I mean, this tech up is going to go through, sure, but what do you do with it now? You've got next to no gold. You need to rush that up. You're losing outpost control. You've got no food to work with. You have to fall back to your sheep, which, by the way, no one's working right now. Like, it's got 11 people on berries. That's it. And let's keep in mind you're up against a French player. And French players, Knights, can contest Castle Age Knights quite freely. Especially when they have a lump advantage like this. There's 14 Knights in the field for Beastie. I'm not sure I'm really seeing the way, especially with what's coming next. I don't know how Kino is going to combat this with what Beastie's about to do. That's a tech up. He's ready to rock, ready to rumble. He's got everything he needs. Probably going to see him go for the Royal Institute, and yes, indeed, he does. So now, if the Mongol player was to go Lancers to come back into this game, then you're done. Like, there's literally no way you can play into Lancers now. He's only producing the first one right now. Beastie is already a quarter of the way through the tech up. Wouldn't be surprised if he just goes straight into Canted Saddles. Royal Bloodlines doesn't even need to be rushed here. Remember, it's quite expensive. Whereas Canted Saddles will give you that initial clash advantage up against the Lancers on the other side. It's actually crazy the way that Canted Saddles works. Like, in a lot of ways, it feels better than Royal Bloodlines because it's so much cheaper. And what it does is it essentially means that when you're playing Feudal versus Castle Age Knights, which now is obviously going to be Castle, but even if it was Feudal versus Castle, you know, you can already talk about the fact that with the bonus damage the French Knights get, they can contest Castle Age Knights as long as they get their charge. But now if both sides get their charge, the Canted Saddles guarantees that your charge is better, even without having Castle Age upgrades on the French. Which is just nuts to say. But tech up complete. A little bit of gold needed. I'm expecting it to be, first of all, prioritize the veterancy on the Knights, but then go Canted Saddles immediately afterwards. In fact, if you look at the difference of timings there, right? Canted 45, Knights are 30. You could argue just go Canted first and get the veterancy second, and then you sync up the timings so that when you begin a fight, like, everything just comes through. But scrap that. Okay, Beastie says, I've got enough gold to work with. He goes immediately into the Royal Bloodlines. A lofty investment at 500 gold, but it would give him the guaranteed victory against even Spears here. Look at, oh my god, look at the idling. Okay, Kino is very fortunate that Beastie did not commit there. These villagers would have wasted a lot of time, but they would have had their time wasted as well. A few knights are going to be picked off, but I mean, folks, this is looking done, and unless Kino Blues can work miracles. You know, turn water to wine, resurrect from the dead. He need to resurrect everyone he lost so far in this game to stand a chance. The eco count is doubled up. Military count doubled up. And keep in mind, a lot of it for Beastie is premium army. Just enough archers as well to keep the spearman mass at bay. You know, you can see that Blues is investing in a few spears here and there, but this is literally just to tell the knights to leave me alone. Like, just stay away from me. It's meant to be your nuclear deterrent, but I mean, it's about as successful as a North Korean nuclear deterrent. It's not really gonna get too much done. There might be a failure to launch coming. The spearman count not looking good. No upgrade coming through. Kino Blues hoping that the Springwood upgrades can keep him safe. Love how BC's even moved on to the mid-map gold veins to start harvesting. Interesting that they're even out here. This raid attempt by Kino Blues is going to be inefficient in comparison to what's coming the other way. Look at the charge in. Line straight through. Limited spearmen to hold in this area, and they'll just be massed on. There's just too many knights. I mean, this is done. Even if you keep 15 villagers alive inside, what about everyone else? Blues has now lost 30 villagers. He has only killed 2. And this number's not slowing down. No. This was an interesting build from Blues. All of it enabled by the fact that, from Beastie rather, all of it enabled by the fact that Blues did lose that Khan so early and failed to scout the left side. If he had gotten that key information to the left side of the base, I don't necessarily think that Beastie gets this expansion for free. His time is probably get heavily delayed. Maybe we don't see the second TC or this level of boom as quickly that we did out of Beastie, but brilliant read by him. As soon as he saw that the Khan had been sniped, he beelined that left side. He knew he could get away with it, and he knew there would be no vision to snitch on him, which is why those spearmen just camped at one location. Kino Blue is probably chuckling to himself, going, now I just get to trade. You don't get anything. Dead wrong, though. Just great plays there by Beastie to manipulate vision and make sure that it was the disadvantage that Kino Blues gave over that Beastie exploited to the fullest.